Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Britton's Hangout Hour episode. I've kind of stopped counting at this point. I think maybe 36 or so. We're in the 30s, I know that for sure. I'm here with Jarrod, also known as the Fantasy Thinker. Yeah, I feel like a bad host if I stumble on the name there. But how you
That's all right.
doing today, sir?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Let's see.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've just been hanging out. I'm about to finish Beyond Redemption from Michael R. Fletcher, um,
Oh,
which is well, it's I don't know what to. I like it. I'll put it that way, but I don't really know what to say about it yet because it's very dark and depraved book.
oh, oh, jeez.
But
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
um, if you want to introduce yourself real quick, feel free.
Yeah. Well, so I'm Jared, and I run the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and I've been doing that for about 9 months now, 10 months. So I realized I met a lot of great people through it, like you and a lot of other great people, and so it's been more fulfilling than I thought it was going to be originally.
So I wanted to ask, so where are you from? Because that accent, I can't make. Is it New Jersey? Is it Boston? Like,
It's closer to Boston. Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts. Yeah,
oh, you're in
and
Massachusetts. All right, that's
yeah,
what I thought.
yeah,
I thought either
yeah,
New Jersey or Boston.
yeah. And by your name, you're somewhere in the central, like
Uh,
Arkansas or
I'm
Texas
in
or something. Or
I'm in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, central. Yeah, I'm in the central time zone. So,
yeah.
yeah, I'm glad we. It's usually. What's the hardest one I've done? I think it was the one I'm about to upload this week. The one I'm this upcoming Monday, because the guy's from Ireland, and it's like the
Ah,
time zone is really weird over there.
yeah. Like
Um,
6 hours. Yeah.
so usually it works out nicely when we got somebody who's just an hour behind us, or
Yeah.
either hour ahead or behind. I don't remember.
I'm
What
ahead,
time is
one
it?
hour ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
You're ahead 1 hour. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I found your channel and I see that your green thing is on. So I was like, hey, do you want to come on my show? And you were like, yeah. So now we're here.
Awesome.
I also found you from
Yeah.
the Perdido Street Station read along. I think, if I
Oh,
remember
okay.
right, I think you're a part of that.
Yep. Yep. It's still going on. Yeah. I was actually just looking through it a few minutes ago, because I think we have another talk Sunday
My
for
copy
part
here.
three of it.
There's my
Oh
copy.
wow, you get that. That's a cool cover. I like that one.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. And there's Mieville right here.
Oh, you got him on the back. Yeah, that.
Uh, it,
Yeah, I don't know
yeah,
which edition's which, but
yeah. It was my favorite book last year, so it's really my favorite
yeah,
read
it's been
last
very
year.
interesting, and I really I'm having a good time talking with Angela from Do Unicorns Read, and Raf Blutex is on there,
Mm-hmm.
and Vasha from Reading by the Rainy Mountain, and Mary from Mary Likes to Read, loves to read. Um, so that's been. Oh, I think Dan was supposed to be on there from the Black and Blue Collar Reader.
Yeah, no, I like Dan.
Yeah.
I'm actually about to have a conversation with him about Beyond Redemption, so it should be
Oh,
fun.
nice, cool.
Um,
Yeah, so it's been fun. This is my first time reading China Mieville. So
oh wow, I mean, that was my second novel from him. It was my favorite read of last year. So
yeah,
and I saw you
it's
guys were
pretty good.
doing a read along, so I was like, oh, I gotta check this out.
Yeah,
I got opinions about that book.
yeah, yeah. So we'll be on again tomorrow. No, Sunday. Sunday. We'll be on again Sunday. So
Yeah,
the
yeah. I'm curious what you think of that. It's not really your standard fantasy, you know.
yeah, but it is fantasy, and so I like it. I like it a lot. It's really it's strange some of the stuff he comes up with.
Right.
And he has a very visceral way of describing things. It's he gets down into the nitty gritty and
Oh yeah.
the real gruesomeness of just basic biology. Really, just really gets down into it, and the grub and the viscera and the blood and everything else. And he describes it, and he uses a lot of interesting words to really get into that
Yes.
aspect of it.
Yes, he does. One of the moments in that book that really gave me the shivers is the remade stuff. Like there's that one lady who
Yeah.
accidentally killed her kid, and they sewed the arms
I
into
know.
her face.
Yeah. No,
And
he
there's that one guy who wouldn't rat on his crew, so they zipped it shut, and then he tried to cut it. It just gives me the
yeah.
shivers.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back on that kind of grotesquerie, I guess.
Oh yeah, oh man, yeah, I saw that, or I saw you guys talking about it last time, or I think you guys mentioned it, and I was like, oh man, that gave me the shivers.
Yeah. Sure did. Yeah. Yeah, and he doesn't stop introducing new and like strange creatures and stuff like that throughout the whole book so far.
Oh
He
yeah,
doesn't stop.
the Bez Leg series might be my favorite thing from Mieville so far. I haven't read all of his books yet. But I love Perdido Street Station. I really enjoy the Scar. Iron Council, I'm kind of... Oh, hello there, kitty cat. Um, Iron Council I don't love, but it still has some of that kind of magic of Perdido Street Station a little bit.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, the other day I thought you had I saw one of your videos. I thought you had covered the Scar. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So you read the Scar already? No, it was a Steven Erikson book that had or no, it was Stephen
Ah,
Donaldson book, and it looked a little bit
awesome.
like the Scar. I thought it was the Scar and
Oh,
something
okay.
else.
Oh, I think you mean I think you mean this one here.
Yeah, yeah,
The
that one.
Killing God, yeah. This has actually been so far this year. This has been my favorite book
Oh
so
wow.
far, and it's a tough choice though, because I've read a lot of cool stuff. But I really love that book. Uh,
Would you say Perdido Street Station is on your favorite books of this year?
it's up there. Um, I think it might hit the top five. So we'll see. I'm gonna maybe by the end of the year I'll do one of those, top books of the year or whatever.
Yeah, no, I read Embassy Town from him, which I didn't love. So now I got that Good Times, Bad Times pick for the Led Zeppelin book tag,
Oh,
if I ever do that.
is that from Mieville?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, from Mieville.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I told my friends, I'm like, well, I wouldn't read Embassy Town first, but, feel free to do what you want.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Is
but
that a more recent one? The Embassy Town?
yeah, it was one of his last books before he, has been on his sort of hiatus.
Ah,
He's been doing a bunch of like political stuff. He did like a book about the Communist Manifesto recently. So, yeah.
awesome. Have you
Um,
read any Donaldson at all?
Sadly, I have not. I know
Oh,
he's very well known. Like Lord
yeah.
Farrell's Bane is like pretty well
Yeah.
known. Like
Yeah.
Proto Grim Dark.
That's what he's known for. Best is the Thomas Covenant series, but everything he does is outstanding. So anything you pick up by him can. This was just his latest, most recent series. It's just a trilogy, and so um, that you could definitely pick that up because it's a great read. I think it's more accessible for the modern reader maybe instead of Lord's Files Bane was back in the '70s, so and it's a much bigger series. So this one's only a trilogy. Uh, all good stuff. Anything you could start with anything. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, my buddy's reading one of his science fiction book, The Real Story, right now,
Yes, yeah,
which I'm like, well, that's kind of a lame title. He's like, oh, it's really good though. So I'm like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
maybe.
It is. It is.
It's a
Yeah.
lame title, or it's a good book.
It's a great series.
Oh, okay.
And it's a significant title, even if you don't like the lame words. It's a significant title. It really means a lot to the story.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I'll probably get to Donaldson. Like, there's so many fantasy writers, man, that I want to try out. You know.
Yeah, there's so many writers. Period. I mean, it's there's a lot. It's funny because when before I started watching BookTube, um, you don't get exposed to as much as all of a sudden I started watching, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, look at all these other books that I've never read before, and it really opened up the world as far as just not just fantasy, but a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you like Perdido Street Station and how like visceral it is, I think you would like Beyond Redemption. It has a similar kind of, visceral, like, ugh, you know.
Yeah, that's it's very well done. So as long as uh, as long as the writing is well done, I am there.
So, have you finished Perdido Street Station yet, or are you still like getting
Not
through it?
quite. I'm still I'm waiting for the read along.
Oh,
So
okay.
I haven't finished the last 200 pages yet. Um,
Well, I didn't want to start like talking about it, and you're like, wait,
yeah,
what? You know?
which I'll probably finish it by the end of next week.
Because I know Dan just was like, because I talked to Dan about it, and he's just like, oh yeah, I finished it already, and I was like, oh, okay. He just blows through them. He's like, man,
Yeah,
I've also just
I like to
real fast.
stay with the read along, because I don't want to know stuff ahead of time.
Fair enough. I get that. Yeah, it's neat watching Raf talk about it because it was funny. I had him on my podcast about a month ago, or not a month ago. Jesus, about 3 months ago now already. It's crazy. And I'm like, Perdido Street State. You're always like talking about like capitalism and all this other stuff on your channel. Like, dude, Perdido Street Station. I think you'll like it. He's like, oh yeah, I already read it like a decade ago. I'm like, oh okay.
Yeah, yeah. He talks about the manifesto and all that stuff that Mieville's into. So
Oh yeah, I mean it's a very far left book, but
yeah,
it's so good though. I really enjoy it.
yeah,
I mean,
really good. Yep.
I don't want to get too political on the show, so I'll steer clear of that.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, I saw your Satanic Verses review the other day, or last night
Yeah,
actually, and I
yeah,
commented
yeah.
on it.
Thanks. Yep.
Because Rushdie's one of those writers I've always wanted to try for a very long time. I didn't know where to start, and
Yeah, me too. I always wanted to try him, and what was it, 2 years ago? I read a book of his essays. He wrote a book, and he put out a book of essays, and some of them, he was a really good writer, and the essays were really good. He on one of the essays, he actually kind of um, took a shot at Tolkien,
all right.
and and uh, and that was a little controversial for some people. And
Oh,
but I was
wait
like,
till you
that's
get to
fine,
Michael
that's
Moorcock. I don't mean
yeah.
to
I mean,
interrupt,
that's
but
his opinion. So I was just like, that's fine, that's cool, and so I can just look past that and keep reading because he's a really good writer. Rushdie is, and then my brother gave me that the Satanic Verses book, which he had been telling me to read for years, and I finally did. So I was glad I did because his writing is really good. It's very uh very intellectual and very very um it's on a high level. So it's like if you like Mieville, I think you would like Rushdie.
yeah, no, I definitely think he would be someone I like. I mean, I admit I was looking up the other day because he actually got stabbed. Like about a
Yes.
year ago, or I don't know if
Yeah.
stabbed, slashed, something like that. He got attacked,
Yeah. No, I mentioned that in my
and
video, and
like he lost the use of one of his eyes, and
one
that
of his
just was
eyes.
like,
Yep.
oh my
And he was.
gosh, you know?
Yeah. It was touch and go. He was. Yeah. He got stabbed. He also got stabbed in the chest somewhere too. So all in the name of religious fanaticism. But and so that always rubs me the wrong way.
I
uh,
mean, I thought it was pretty sad. On all honesty, I'm like, good lord, he lost the use of his eye because like it's not. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I think it's his fault or anything, but just because he wrote a book and some people got mad about it, like he
yeah,
lost his eye, you know.
yeah, yeah. And he was, back. He had a death threat against him for over a decade, where he was living in hiding. And that's just wrong.
But that's also what one makes me want to read the satanic verses. I'm like, you know
Yeah,
what? I want to see
because
what he wrote to see what offended so many people.
exactly because when you do, you're gonna be like, oh, that's it. That's what offended people. It's not much. It really isn't.
I mean, I
It's
don't mean
just
to laugh. It's not funny, but it's just kind of like
yeah,
I don't know. It's there's a quote from Stephen King. He's like, when they ban books, go find those books and find out why they're trying to do that. You know, so I'm
yeah.
like, oh, I gotta check that out
That's
then.
that's it.
Um,
And there's a lot of book banning going on these days, and
I
so
know it's crazy.
it's crazy. Really doesn't warrant it. It shouldn't. You shouldn't ban books. You start banning books. That's when you start banning imagination, and we can't go
Yeah, I
there.
mean, I couldn't say it more beautifully myself, sir.
Thank you.
There's also another quote from Ray Bradbury. He's like, you don't need to burn books, just convince people not to read them, or something of. So I might be
Well,
butchering it, but that's the gist of it.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he did. Bradbury.
Yeah. But yeah, I've seen on your channel, because I found it relatively recently, um, that you've covered. I know you've covered Philip Chase's um, books, which I'm saving for next year because I like to plan out my reads before I do them. You
Oh,
know.
okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're a planner, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of not. I kind of read whatever gets thrown at me, and
So what? Did someone
so
just go like, "Hey, you want to go read Perdido Street Station?" You're just like, "Okay."
yeah, yeah. Angela at Do Unicorns Read. She's like, I was like, oh, you guys doing a read along? That sounds pretty interesting. I'll probably tune into that. And she goes, oh, you're. She's invited me on right then and there, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm reading a lot. And she kind of like talked me into it. So I was like, okay, so I'm reading Perdido.
I've seen you've done like prose readings and done some conversations and some reviews. So that's pretty cool. But I suppose I was attracted to your channel for a reason. I like Philip Chase's channel or Raf's channel. I like people who take the fantasy genre seriously, and talk about it. I don't want to say purely in academic terms, but but people who take it seriously as art or literature or however you want to describe
Yeah,
that.
it is literature, and it's can be just as high literature as any other literature, and that's I think I did one of my favorite essays is Donald's essay on epic fantasy, and that is he calls it the literature. He calls fantasy literature, epic fantasy literature, the literature of reintegration, where you reintegrate yourself into society after leaving it for a while, and his essay really breaks it down very well. And so I just look at books like that, and I try to them down and just relate to them in that manner.
It's fair. That's fair. I am, but I'm intrigued by people who take, because like I have this kind of feeling that people don't. Or not really a feeling, but it's more like I'm kind of frustrated when people don't take fantasy seriously. You know, because I agree with your sentiment that like fantasy is just as much literature as you know the great books.
Yeah,
You know, I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, fortunately, it's had a lot more exposure nowadays than it used to. I've been around a while, so when I was reading fantasy back in the '80s, and uh, it, it was definitely not taken seriously. It was always thrown into the back of the bookstore somewhere on shelves that haven't been dusted in a while, you know, and and so and it's like you're looking for a cool new fantasy book, and you come up with a couple of things and people are looking at you funny, and so fantasy, even though it still has a connotation to it, it's not as bad as it used to be. It definitely has come more into the mainstream these days with the advent of all the streaming shows and what have you, so it's
Yeah,
uh it's doing okay.
Game of Thrones
Yeah,
really.
yeah, Game of Thrones helped a lot. Certainly did. But also Peter Jackson helped, um when he made Oscar worthy movies,
Oh yeah, that's true.
that helped start it, and then Game of Thrones definitely thrust it more into the mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you cover like I Am Legend, which is it's a really good book.
Yeah, yeah,
Matheson, a very underrated writer, I think.
yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by how good that book was for me. Yeah,
I also see like Malazan, which I haven't read
yeah,
Malazan, but I've heard it's I always again drinking game the Britain's Hangout Hour drinking game. I'm gonna start it, but note every time I'm like I tend to stick with trilogies and standalones. I don't generally read longer series unless they interest me, like Game of Thrones or something. Hopefully George will somehow pull out the magic rabbit and finish the damn thing. But yeah, I'm kind of hesitant to read Malazan though. It's kind of my point.
yeah. I mean, it can be intimidating. I get that. Um, but you take it one book at a time, and you just if you have any retention at all, you'll be fine. You'll go from one to the next, and you don't have to read it all at once. You can read one every couple months. It's so when I read Mal's the first time, this was way back when, like when mid 2000s, when I started it. I literally like read one book a year. And I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then now I'm doing a reread, and I'm getting a lot more out of it, and it's just making it that much more fun. It really it rewards you. It really does.
Yeah, I have a buddy who just loves Malazan. I mean, I'll put it this way: I have people who I respect a lot and are good friends of mine who love Malazan, and then at the same time, I also have good friends of mine and people I respect a lot who don't like Malazan.
Yeah. No, no, everybody has their for good of whether they like it or not. That's everybody has their opinion. I can definitely see why it wouldn't click with some people. Like it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's how do you put it? Polarizing. Seems
Yeah,
polarizing from what I've
it
seen.
can be. Yeah. I mean, I think it's polarizing for people who just want a really strong opinion. You know what I mean? I think most people can take it or leave it. They like it or they don't. Uh, it's the same thing with a lot of other literature. Somebody can make a big deal about not liking romance stories, but some people and just say, yeah, it's just not my bag, whatever, it's.
I guess I'll
I
have
think,
to see where I lie on that case then,
yeah, yeah,
because I don't know. I mean, on theory, I would think Malazan would appeal to me because I like darker stuff, but
yeah.
at the same time, I don't know. It's 10 books, or isn't it 10? I think it's 10.
The main series is 10. Yeah.
And they're thick boys, like
Oh yes. Oh
they're
yeah.
big
They're
boys.
they're chunky. Yeah. Yeah. That
So
they are some of the longer books I've read. Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm like, do I really wanna put in that effort? I don't know, but I guess I'll see when I get there.
Yeah.
Like, I had Raf just be like, well, why don't you just pick up the first book and see what you think and go from there? And I'm like, you know what? I'll probably have to do that, because in other ways I'm just going to talk myself out of not reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much how I've started most of the series I've read in my life. Just take the plunge and go in and do it. Yeah.
So, what are some fantasy series that you enjoy a lot, aside from, like, Malazan?
Well, yeah, Malazan's my favorite, but I am loving the heck out of the Wars of Light and Shadow
Oh,
series by
yeah.
Janie Wirtz. Um, she's an extremely intelligent writer, and I am enjoying the heck out of that world. So I'm on a few conversations, read-alongs with that as well. And I was once again pleasantly surprised by how much I am enjoying that series. It's really is a well thought out series that just it grips you, and every single book has a really fantastic ending that just was like bam, wow.
Yeah, I actually never heard of Janie Wirtz until I saw, like, Philip and a bunch of other people talk about her. So, there you go. It's my
Yeah,
little
she's
booktube right there.
she's been on working on this series since the 90s, the early 90s. Uh, that's it is an 11-book series.
Oh,
But
jeez.
I'm on book 4 now, and but I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So I have no compunction about carrying on with this series at all. Because first 3 books have just been fantastic, and it's uh it's it's not your typical fantasy at all. She does things unique, and she definitely subverts a lot of tropes and stuff, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, no. Well, I was saying earlier when you were talking about Salman Rushdie being kind of critical of Tolkien, I'm like, oh, wait till you read Michael Moorcock, unless you already have.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. I took his essay with a grain of salt, with his criticism of Tolkien. And but I have read Elric, and I've read uh, Count Brass, and a couple of his other ones. Yeah, I can't remember the name. Corum or whatever it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed him. I love the Elric stuff. I think
Yeah, I like Elric a lot.
it's fun,
Um,
sword and sorcery, and
Corum is, it's all
yeah,
right.
he's okay. Elric's better. Uh,
It's definitely, hey, Elric's the anti-Conan. Well, Corum's the anti-Elric. I'm just like, okay, it's not funny anymore, Michael Moorcock. It's not.
yeah, no, but the it's cool, and I like even more. I think even or equal to the novels. I actually really like the comic book adaptations
Oh yeah,
that
you've read those? Those are real. I've
came
read
out
the
in
first two. Those are really good.
yeah, the ones that came out in the 80s.
Oh, I thought you meant like the recent ones. Have you read the recent
No, not the
ones?
recent ones. Yeah, the original ones from the 80s that were adapted by Roy Thomas,
Mm.
and he's the guy who wrote all the Conan comics for Marvel as well. So he adapted Elric, and really great job. Excellent artwork, and I actually have all those collected
Have you
in
read the
boxes
new
on it.
ones from France the new Elric comics from France?
I did. I read. Yeah, they're like collected in hardcover or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a couple of those too because I'm a comic book collector.
I was about to say those are amazing.
Yeah,
The
no, they
art in
are.
that
They're
is
very well
so
done.
good.
Yep.
Oh my gosh,
It's
I'm just
it's really good. Yeah, I like those too. Yeah, I'm hoping they come out with more.
me too,
Uh, but
because
uh,
it's just oh man, so
but I
good.
haven't seen. Yeah, I haven't seen anything recent, any announcements recently. But we'll see. But I got all the old ones too from the '80s, and they're really well done as well.
Yeah, admittedly, I've not read the one from the '80s because I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I really want to get those, but maybe someday. But yeah, I also noticed you enjoy comics. You've done like comics versus the pros and certain.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
I'm actually looking forward to that. I think the next. I think that was for Assassin's Apprentice, Robin Hobb,
mm,
and the next issue of that comes out in December. So I had to put the book on hold for a while.
so
But
have you read like other comics that were like just like I saw you like mention you were gonna do Gideon Falls from one of my
yes,
favorites, Jeff Lemire. Or you pronounce it Lemire. I pronounce it Lemire, but whatever.
is it Lemire? I don't know. I'm
Uh,
not sure how
I
it's
pronounce
pronounced,
it
but
Lemire, but whatever.
that's that's volume 3 right there. So yeah, I'm having a discussion with Steve um at Steve Talks Books and Chris Moen about Gideon Falls, and
Yeah,
we're
it's
doing
good
it. He's doing
so far.
he's doing a podcast. He's doing a podcast on that. And
I was about to say,
so
yeah, those are
that's
those are pretty good so far that I've read. I actually want to do. I've been meaning to do because in October I tend to just go nuts on horror for the whole month,
mm,
and I've been meaning to do a reread of Gideon Falls because I liked what I read of it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I haven't gotten back to it. So
oh, you didn't
hopefully
finish it yet. Oh, okay,
hopefully
all right,
hopefully this year it'll be the time.
yeah.
Be the
Well,
chosen.
there's only 5 or 6
Yeah, so I'll
volumes.
say I know it's not that long, but I'm like I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm just
I
lazy,
mean these
man. I'm so bad at keeping up with stuff.
like this thing you read in like 20 minutes.
I know. um, but yeah. So I'm like, do you read other comics as well? Cause
Yeah, I usually get whoever's publishing Conan. I usually get those.
mm,
Um, I'm a rabid Conan collector. As
mm,
far as comics go, that just goes way back, and the Conan comics they pretty much tell the same story all the time nowadays. But uh, but I love them, and but I also get some independent stuff. I don't go into the superhero stuff these days. I used to when I was younger, but I'll read anything that looks interesting and it's like maybe fantasy or sci-fi. I'll usually pick it up and try it out.
I finally got off my ass and started Middle West the other day from Scotty Young, which I'm enjoying a lot so far.
Oh, Scotty. Oh, I don't know that one.
It's good so far. It's much different from I Hate Fairyland, which is the only other thing I've read from him. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff out there if you look beyond, if you can get beyond the capes.
I mean, I love superheroes, but I'm like, I like other stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've read some of the Conan. I've heard Kurt Busiek's Conan is just like
Yeah.
peak, like not by Robert E. Howard himself. Like this is the best Conan ever. I just need to read it.
Yeah, it was good. That was when Dark Horse Comics got the Conan license, and he kind of just like rebooted it and started over again. So that was pretty good. It was interesting. Tough to beat those original Roy Thomas comics from the.
Have you read the actual stories of Conan? Like, cause
Yes, yeah, yeah.
I would say the Del Rey editions that were out a few years ago probably the best ones that have.
Yes, that's what I got actually. I have yeah, I got the Del Rey's the coming of Conan the Cimmerian, and then
Yeah, I finally finished the first volume of that last year, and I'm like, man, this is so good. Like,
yeah, yeah,
this
his
is
his
way better
writing's
than I
great.
thought it was.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I didn't want to say, I don't want to say I was expecting it to be bad, but I was kind of like, yeah, how do I put this? I wasn't expecting it to be bad, but I was expecting it to be kind of cheesy, you know. And then I read it, I'm like, oh, this is
yeah.
really good actually.
No, he was putting out some pretty decent literature at the time. He's a he's a really good writer. He has a very great sense of pacing, and he keeps the action going, but he's also very descriptive, and I really like Robert E. Howard's writing.
I love how he sets a scene, and I enjoy his
Yeah,
action sequences, of course.
yeah. I actually prefer him as a writer over Lovecraft, who
Oh,
I
me
know
too.
was
Yeah.
his contemporary back then, but yeah, I prefer Howard's right. Even his cosmic horror, because Howard did do a little bit of the cosmic horror stuff.
I haven't read his horror
Um,
yet.
and I actually preferred his stuff over Lovecraft's.
Yeah, I haven't read his horror yet. I want to though, because I want to see how he fares. Though he did do some
Yeah,
creepy stories with the Conan I read, and also
yeah,
Solomon Kane, who
yeah. He weaved it all in there. Yep, yep.
I actually like. It's funny. Like as a character, I like Solomon Kane more, but like I think Conan's the better written stuff he did.
Yeah, I'm not that big on Solomon Kane. I don't know. He's Conan's definitely more my kind of character. I mean, even though he is nowadays he's become a pastiche, but there's a lot more to him in the actual original.
Well, have you read First Law
I haven't gotten to Abercrombie yet,
or
so that's on my someday soon list.
I was about to say Martin has some Howard esque moments in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the um, Erickson actually has a character that he pretty much took the Conan archetype and turned it into something completely his own, and basically the barbarian going into quote civilized world,
Mm-hmm.
and so that is it's a brilliant play on that theme. Um, and then a lot of people have borrowed from Howard over years, especially a lot of those 70 fantasy novels have borrowed from Howard.
Oh yeah, have you read Fritz Lieber
Yeah,
or
Fritz Lieber.
Fritz
Um,
Leiber? I don't know. I
yep,
pronounce it Lieber.
yeah, the Fafnir and the Grey Mouser series. Yep,
Oh yeah,
those are
good
very
stuff.
cool.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Yep.
Or I enjoy it anyway. I know there's some who might find it corny, and for good reason. There's some stuff in there
Yeah,
that hasn't aged very well, but I enjoy it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
yeah,
It's
yeah. A lot of stuff doesn't always age that
yeah.
well, but it's just um, there's a few things that do, but you have to take it with the time period it was written in, and you know, it enjoy it for what it is.
I don't know. I still enjoy it a lot, and there's actually some really good writing in it. That I'm like, wow, I'm this is way better writing
Yeah,
than I was expecting.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's good, good stuff.
I know Moorcock took from him a lot, especially with the early stuff he did, like Elric, and though Elric's basically anti Conan. Where Conan's like this manly man. Elric's
Yeah,
just this sickly, just weak and kind of pitiful.
yeah. Elric's an interesting character. Uh, he's definitely he definitely yeah, he definitely was opposite Conan basically, and he was quite tragic in a lot of ways. Elric was, whereas
Yeah.
Conan always had that sense of either overcoming odds or accomplishing something, whereas
Yeah.
Elric's was a doom story, and
Yeah, I mean, like with Conan, it's more about like freedom and like
yeah,
liberation, and it's sort of it's kind of Howard playing with his sort of theories on life, you know. Um, what is it? It was one of the stories. He goes like, I live, I love, I slay, and I'm content. I'm like, yeah, that's what Conan is in a sentence, probably.
yeah,
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 like if you want like badass lines, I think Howard's a good place to
yeah.
go.
He's got a lot of them, and yeah, and he also deals a lot with themes of civilization eventually reverting into barbarism. He had
Mm-hmm.
that kind of a what's the word, um fatalistic outlook on society, I suppose.
Yeah, or if I remember right, he said something like barbarism's the natural state of man or something.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's right. So,
Because
uh,
I don't know. I guess he didn't really like civilization all that
yeah,
much.
well, he had his problems.
Man, it's one of those I feel really sad because he died so young. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah,
what could he have done? What else could he have done if he had lived longer?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Then again, I think that's kind of what's interesting about him and Lovecraft. They were both kind of two guys just out of time. Like they were just born in the wrong era.
maybe it's you never know. It is
Or
what it
I
is.
think
It's
so.
if he would have lived longer, maybe he would have written himself into obscurity. You can never tell.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess it's better that you don't. Maybe it's better that we wish that there was more rather than be like, I should have stopped somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed you read a lot of like thrillers and stuff, right? Too
Yeah, I read a lot of noir books. Yes.
in noir. Yes, yeah, I remember seeing that on your channel
I
there.
actually just covered Blood Standard on my channel the other day. So yeah, I think you would like Laird Barron if you like Robert E. Howard. He has kind of similar tough guys going up against like eldritch abominations. um,
Cool.
I mean, like, are there other genres you enjoy?
Um, every time I've read a different genre, I've kind of always veered right back to fantasy. I mean, I enjoy I read a lot of actual history books,
Oh,
not nonfiction. So I that's how I kind of cleanse my palate with some nonfiction history, and then I'll get back and I read some sci-fi, but sci-fi's the hard sci-fi. Like if it's sci-fi that's more fantasy based, like Dune, um, to me that's kind of just like reading fantasy.
yeah,
So that
that's
scratches
fair.
my itch, so to speak. um, but if it's a little more of a hard sci-fi, my accent's coming out, but uh, then then I find myself like saying I have to read fantasy now, which is not a problem to me because I'm always reading 3 or 4 books at once anyway. So
Like, are there particular eras of history that you're interested in, or is it like just kind of sporadic?
yeah, I was focused on medieval history
Mm.
for a long time, um, and that's where a few of my college veered towards. But most of the time though, I prefer like big picture history.
Mm.
Like *Sapiens*, um, or this more recent stuff like the Silk Road was a recent one I read that gave a whole history of the world from the viewpoint of Persia, like Central Asia,
Mm-hmm.
rather than from the Western civilization viewpoint that we usually get. And so I found that fascinating. And well, that kind of history of mankind, big picture history, is kind of my favorite nowadays.
All right. Yeah, I saw you did a video called like history books for fantasy fans. I didn't get to
Yeah,
it, but I saw you made a video about that. I watched a little of it. You had Sapiens, which
yeah,
I've heard that's a really good book. I haven't read it.
yeah. It's one of my favorites. I love that book.
Like my nonfiction reading is very sporadic, so there you go.
Yeah, I definitely prefer fantasy. Of course, that's my channel.
Mm-hmm.
But but I'll veer out every once in a while. But I love history too. That's English and history. That was my degree, so that's what I love. And
Fair enough.
but yeah, and that's why I love big epic fantasies that have a lot of history included in them. You know,
So you're like
so
into
that's
like big like lore stuff.
that's your Malazan. That's your Wars of Light and Shadow, and that's you know that that kind of sense. Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings, it has that sense of history to it. So those are my favorite kind of fans.
Yeah, no, I'm a sucker for that as well. You know, where it's like there's like lore and stuff, and it's really neat. Find all these cool details.
Yeah, I mean, the wars are fun, and they to read about, and they kind of they're a big focus on what changes the course of history. But there's a lot more behind the scenes that goes into changing courses of history besides just the war and the battles themselves. And and so something like Wars of Light and Shadow and Malazan really actually get into all of that, and it's not just strictly about the battles.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're big picture fantasies, just like I like big picture histories.
Fair enough. Um, it's kind of funny. I mean, you like Conan. Conan's more like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's kind of like in the life, sort of
yeah.
fantasy.
Conan's definitely more a well, that's I guess that's kind of a difference between epic fantasy and sword and sorcery. Is Sword and sorcery is a bit more in the moment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and a bit more character focused in what that character has to do to battle through to get to his goal, whatever. And and that's the difference between well, one of the differences between those two words, really.
Have you read Jonathan? I don't know if it's pronounced Mayberry or Mawberry, but I know he does something called Kagan
Oh,
the Damned.
yeah, no,
Um,
I haven't read that one.
I haven't read it yet, but it looked cool, and from what you've told me, it sounds like something you might like.
No,
I don't know.
very possible. I mean, I've discovered a whole list of stuff that I might like. That we'll see if I get to it.
It's kind of it's kind of cutting back to Salman Rushdie. I know a lot of people call his work magic realism or magical realism.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah,
liked that term. It's kind of like when people
yeah,
call comics graphic novels. It's just like it's like if you let me be kind of salty for a moment, it's like it's for people who are too ashamed to admit that they're writing fantasy. I'm like, what?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of it's
That's
a
no,
fantastic.
I agree. It's just call it what it is. It's fantasy, you know, and and yeah, you're reading a comic. It's not a graphic novel. It's a comic. It's five comics collected, but it's yeah, half of that's marketing.
I know, I
You
know.
know, it's not really I don't think the readers care as much as the marketers do.
Fair enough, I guess. It's just kind of it's just always something that kind of bugs me. It's just kind of like, man, You know,
Yeah.
like, I don't know how to deal with this.
You gotta, you gotta catch the people. You gotta get that catchy phrase out there to get people in to read the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like I'm like, I don't know. I've heard Rushdie's kind of like is like, oh my style's not really fantasy, but I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's
no, he is a little bit controversial like that. He is one of those authors who doesn't want to. I don't think. No, I'm painting a general brush, so I don't want to be too specific, but doesn't want to admit that it's fantasy. Yeah, he's writing that it's magical realism,
I don't
and
know. It's like, well,
I'm
why?
sure.
Well,
Yeah,
why?
and that's part of what his essay was about when he kind of dissed Tolkien a little bit, but um, but it's fantasy, and that's not going to stop me from reading him because he is a great writer.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
I've kind of learned that over the years. I'm like, if he's good and his work sounds interesting to me, I'll probably read it at some point. I don't know when, but I'll do it.
yeah, that's his labeling of what he's writing is a very minor quibble.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't really. I know it's such like a small thing, but it's something I care about. It's just
Yeah.
it's it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just one of those weird little like nerd things I get kind of mad about. I'm like, what? It's still fantasy. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know, but
Yeah, I like to think I can find the fantasy in just about anything I read.
yeah, sure. No, I mean, I'm kind of though. I have asked people in the past. I'm like, so is there like a difference between magical realism and fantasy? And it's just like I haven't gotten a straight answer yet. It's a again. It's probably just like a marketing thing. I don't know. I've kind of just given up at this point. I also saw you, or I mentioned earlier, but I saw you mentioned you read Philip Chase's stuff. I'm hoping to read that next year because well, I'm like, I got a bunch of stuff I'm reading this year. I'll just bump it up then.
Yeah,
Um,
really good, really
is it
really
good?
fun. Yeah, really good. It's fun. I was worried because it's like, oh, he's the book doer, and I really like him because I comment on his channel all the time, and we talk back and forth sometimes, and uh and you're like, oh, he's putting out a book, and of course you're gonna want to read it, and you're gonna want to review it, you know, and so you're a little worried going in because you're like, what if it's not good, but it actually is really good, and it's a lot of fun to read, and he's doing some really cool stuff, and uh, so yeah, I recommend them highly. They're
Yeah,
really
I
fun.
heard it's about a holy war or something like that.
Yeah, he's got a holy war going on. He's got it's almost like the continent he's created. It's almost he almost has a world war going on. Like all the nations are involved in this
Oh
in this
wow.
war, and it's started by a holy war, and it's really really wild. It's really good. Good stuff. Very interesting characters.
Well, I mean, you mentioned earlier that you like the kind of big picture
Yeah.
fantasy. I'm curious what you think. Or,
Yeah.
well, going back to Perdido Street Station real quick. I'm curious what you think of that because it's kind of it kind of defies category.
Yeah, he throws all the categories in there. It's,
It's an interesting way of saying that, but you know what? I'm not
yeah,
gonna disagree with you on here.
everything but the kitchen sink, or even that too, But
Wait, have you gotten to the part with where they meet? Wait, no, that was last time, right? You got to the part where they met the Weaver. Have you gotten to that part
yes, yeah, oh yeah,
where he's like,
yeah,
hey Weaver, could you help us out with this? And he's like,
that
scissors.
yeah, that weird
Lo-
spider creature,
I
yeah,
love it. I love that scene. I love
was
the Weaver so much. He's a great character. Even though he's like, I love how he's just like, so does that mean he's hired?
yeah, that was the big question, yeah,
It makes me laugh every time.
and Yeah, that still hasn't quite been answered, but he's doing stuff. So
Yeah, it's one of those books where I'm like, man, how did he come up with all that? It's like just the way it speaks, too, and it's just like all these random word salad.
yeah, oh yeah, and he's got a little bit of steampunk in there, a little bit of sci-fi, a little some little bit of some fantasy and like the weird races and stuff, and it's
Cosmic horror,
trip.
especially towards
Oh
the
yeah, it's
end.
definitely some horror in there. Yeah, yeah, it's a trip. It really is.
Oh man, but I don't know. I love that book. Like it's just it's disgusting and visceral, but I love it. I love it. I wanna. If I met China Mieville, I would shake his hand and be like, "Thank you for writing this."
Nice.
Have you read Marlon James at all? Have you read Black Leopard, Red Wolf from, or have
I
you
have
heard of
not.
that?
No. I've heard the name. Yeah, but I have not.
Oh, I think you would like that one. It's very good.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you would. I try to recommend people the underrated stuff.
Yeah.
Or well, it seems like Perdido Street Station is starting to kind of get talked about more on BookTube, which I'm glad, because it's like, here's this great book I read, and a lot of people are covering it now.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a while back. Didn't I think Jimmy Nuts covered it a while back.
He did.
I know he also covered Scar, I think so.
Oh yeah, Scar's very good as well. Yeah, I think you'll like that one.
Yeah, I was definitely seeing it around, people talking about it here and there. Um,
I'm curious what
and
you'll think of the ending. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. I have a bad habit of that.
oh yeah, no, yeah, I'll let you know.
But I am curious what you'll think of the end because it's quite fascinating.
Cool.
I was
Good,
talk-
good, good. Glad.
I was talking to Raf the other day. I'm like, because I was asking, because I know he had read it before. So I'm like, so what do you think of the ending? And he kind of typed back, and I'm like, and he was kind of like, well, I might have to read it again. I'm like, well, how about when you're finished, we can talk about it. And he's like, okay. So there you go. I'm actually hoping to have a discussion about the Bezleg trilogy on my channel because the reviews I did, although I like them, there's still that kind of itching at me. I feel like I didn't say all I wanted to say. Have you ever had that when you do a review? You're just like,
Well, yeah, it depends on whether. I mean, I mostly try to do non-spoiler reviews, so of course, when you get into spoilers, there's always going to be a lot more to say about the subjects.
well, sure, yeah.
Which is why I'm enjoying a lot of these discussions that I'm in, because a lot of them are spoiler discussions, and so we can really get down into the nitty-gritty.
Huh. Yeah, I saw you put a video out today. Oh.
Yes. Yeah, that was Cities in Flight. The first half of it, basically, because it's like a collection of 4 novels.
Oh wow.
So I read the
Okay.
I read the first 2 novels in here, and that's part of a read along I'm doing with a bunch of folks from PageChewing.com, and it's a trip. It's a good book.
I also see you have Gene Wolfe's oh dang it, is his Book of the New Sun back there?
Yeah, I just bought it.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read one of his books about 3-4 years ago called The Land Across, and I was just like, what the hell? This is weird. I don't like this. It's a little too weird for me.
Yeah,
But
the Book of New Sun is getting a lot of people talking about it right now.
yeah, I saw
And
Jimmy's
so,
video, and I was like,
yeah,
you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll take the
yeah,
step.
yeah. Jimmy and Philip Chase and Matt from Matt on Books talked about it.
Wait, man on Books talked about it?
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah, and so I was like, you know what? I gotta check that out because good stuff. I haven't. That was one of the few books back in the '80s I never got around to.
Was that wait, are you talking about Matt's fantasy book reviews or another guy?
No, Matt. from Matt on books. Yeah, he was
Oh,
reading these along with Philip Chase, and and
oh, oh. Okay, I haven't watched this guy, so
yeah,
I
check him
haven't
out.
watched
He's
this guy, so I don't know
good.
anything about him. Because there's a couple Matts I've seen on on books on book on BookTube. There's like Matt Go books, something like that. He's like a preacher. He followed me. He's a pretty nice dude. And Matt's fantasy book reviews is like this guy from California.
Yeah, yeah. I seen you. You had him on, didn't you?
Oh yeah, a few months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. It was admittedly it was kind of it was kind of stressful getting that that show with him because he's like, oh, I'm in California, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sure we can figure something out. And then I think I have the suspicion we did it during his like work break time.
Oh, really?
It was just I don't know. It's my inkling. He's a good dude, though. He's a good dude. I like his reviews.
Cool.
Even if I
Yeah.
don't always agree with them. But, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of part of the
Yeah.
business.
Oh yeah.
If
Yeah.
you agree
He makes it fun though.
I was about to say, if you agreed with everyone, then that would be kind of boring.
I think
What?
I think it's impossible to agree with everybody. But
That's true. That's true. I mean, maybe I'll read the Satanic Verses and be like, what is this dude on?
yeah, that could very well happen.
I don't think so, knowing my taste, but it's always a possibility. But yeah, no, it's I saw you did the Forever War, which is one I've kind of gone back and forth on for a
Yeah.
while. I haven't read
Yeah.
it though.
Yeah, that's your classic space marine type fighting alien type of story, But it was very interesting because it was done in the first person, and he really explored a lot of interesting themes in that book. So
Wait, didn't you not like that book? Because I remember you mentioning that in one of your videos.
it wasn't my favorite,
Oh, okay.
but that's not saying much because I've read a lot of great books, so it's hard to have every book be in the great book level.
Fair
but
enough. Yeah, I get that.
uh, but it was still good. It wasn't. It definitely wasn't a bad book by any means. So definitely a good read, and it's short and it's easy. It's easy to read. So
Oh, well,
good
that's
fly
good.
through that.
Are there series that you have wanted to check out you haven't done yet? Are there series you're looking forward to in the future?
Yeah. I definitely want to check out the Book of the New Sun, and um, I want to someday. I want to check out Abercrombie stuff. The First Law. Is that what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, what else do I want to get to? There's some more um self-published stuff I would like to check out. Um, really like P.L. Stewart's first book.
Have you read a lot of self-published? Because I've been trying to get into. I've been really for a long time trying to get into that, and I just haven't. I haven't been able to know where to. It's kind of like how I commented on your video. I don't know where to start with Salman Rushdie. It's kind of the same thing with self-published fantasy. I kind of don't know
Yeah.
where to start.
Well, I started with The Severing Sun by Von Roycroft, and I was surprised at how good it was. I didn't know what to expect with a self-published book, and it kind of blew me away. I was like, wow, this read just like a regularly published book. It was really good, and then soon after that, Philip Chase put out his first book, and I was blown away by that. And then I read P.L. Stewart's first book in the Drowned Kingdom saga,
Yeah, I heard a
and
lot of good things about that.
really good, and unique. That one kind of blew me away too, with how unique it was with what he did with that series. So I was like, you know what, I gotta see if I can keep this going, you know. So I'm trying to read one self-pub book a month, and unfortunately, Phillips put out 3 this year, so it wasn't too hard to fill that quota.
Yeah, I know. I
But
remember I commented on his video announcing it. I'm like, "Are you putting all 3 out this year?" And he's like, "Yes, sir." And I'm like, "Well, geez, man." He's like,
yeah,
I wouldn't recommend it as like a tax policy or anything like that." So I was just like, "Oh man." I'm
yeah.
like,
So
"Well,
it's
that's
been
good to
great.
know."
It's been great,
Um,
and PL's series has 3 books out now, so I got a couple more to read now, and I'll see where it takes me from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I've mentioned like, hey, is there some self-published books to start? And I get like a couple messages from like self-pub authors being like, please check out my book. Just get kind of weirded out. I'm like, me? You want my opinion? Oh, you flatter me, sir, or ma'am. I'm not sexist on this channel. I want to read more female fantasy authors. Like I've wanted to try Ursula K. Le Guin for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, she's good. Yeah,
Robin Hobb, though, admittedly it's such a nitpick, but I don't love her. I don't love the covers of her books. They look. I'm kind of a cover guy. I like good covers. And it's like just like the cover is just like something you'd find in a Walmart. Just like what the hell.
that's the classic judging a book by its cover,
Yeah,
right?
I know exactly right. It's just kind of like, oh man, like, but a lot of people are like, it's good. So I'm like, I'll check it out. It's a trilogy too, so I'm like, you know what, I'm more likely to check it out. So I'm not against reading Robin Hobb.
Yeah. Well, do you ever do ebooks, or do you just do only physical books?
I would really love to like. I usually do physical books, but I really excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
I would really like to get into the like ebooks because there's like a lot of cool stuff you can do. You can also apparently it's cheaper, so I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean that way you don't even have to worry about covers. You can...
Also, you can just kind of you can mark down lines that you really like.
Yeah, you can do that. You can highlight. Yeah, you can even make notes right
Yeah.
there.
I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, that's cool. I gotta invest in that.
yeah. No, it's useful. I do still like having that physical copy in my hands sometimes. Um, and especially at home, because I'm reading out in the porch, physical copy. So it's a trade-off.
Yeah, I'm kind of stubborn, so I just yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm very stubborn. So there you go.
Have you tried uh, uh, Audible books?
Yeah, I have done some audiobooks. I mean,
Yeah.
if I would recommend an audiobook I really enjoyed, though I did read the physical copies, but the First Laws audiobooks are just excellent.
Oh yeah.
It's by the same dude. It's great. He's fantastic. It's good stuff. So I mean,
Yeah. I haven't delved into it yet. I haven't tried one yet.
yeah, it's funny because I mentioned earlier I do usually plan out my reads before I read them. When I tried the Blade itself, I just kind of picked it up on a whim, and then one day I was like, you know what? I got nothing better to do. I'll just pick it up and read it, and then I just liked it from there. So there you go. I see you have a guitar back there. So do you play?
I try.
Oh.
Uh, I used to actually play bass guitar. Um, I'm way out of practice, but
Fair
uh,
enough.
yeah, you get the drums, I see. So
Yeah, I do. I can play them. Not very well, but I can't do it. I'm same as you. I haven't played them in a while.
uh,
Um, yeah, no, it's good stuff. I enjoy playing them when I find the time. Um,
yeah, my kids they're much better musicians than I am.
but yeah, no, I mean, to kind of go back to self pub, it's just kind of like, man, I don't know where to start, and plus all these people on YouTube are like, you know, kind of like self pub was blown up these last couple years, and I'm just kind of.
Yeah,
And when I started my channel, I kind of wanted to do things differently, so I'm kind of like, I don't want to say I'm staying away, but I'm just kind of like, I want to wait till it dies down and then I'll jump in and see what's got. But there's a couple I think
if
sound cool.
if it does, it's a viable means of publishing nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
When it wasn't, even 10 years ago, it wasn't as viable as it is now. I actually tried back in 2007 or something, way back then, um, where the online self-published places were just starting out, and and I couldn't afford an editor, and I couldn't afford this. Um, and I tried to typeset it the best way I could, and I did self-publish um, a collection of short stories, but it was just for my own benefit, just to have something in my hand, and sell it to families and friends and fools, but it was, it wasn't like today. Today, um, if you have the motivation and the time, you can actually get some good traction with a self-publishing books. The avenues of exposure are way greater than they were back then. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just completed a I actually just completed a novel myself about a month back, and I'm thinking about self-publishing it because, in all honesty, what I've written is like such a niche thing. Like, I don't think like Orbit's gonna pick it up or anything like that anytime soon. So
Yeah.
there you go.
It's something to look into if you have to have more down front, up front, but the then it's all yours after that.
Yeah, no, and it's just kind of, it just seems easier too, rather than just kind of. It seems easier than just kind of going through the back and forth of going to a traditional publisher, submitting it, typing up the like query note, like please read my book, and then they might make you change it, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do
Well, you did say you were stubborn, so
that. Wait, what?
you did say you were stubborn, so yeah, you're
That's
probably
true.
right.
I am very stubborn. It's
There
true.
you go. There you go.
I'm like, if you're gonna make me change this book, you better have a good reason for doing it. And then they probably be like, "Get lost. We don't want your book."
Very nice.
Because I don't know. So is it like is that book like up on Amazon?
Which one?
The one you wrote, that short story.
No. No, it's not anymore. It's long gone. Uh, but I did write. I did get published through a small independent outfit back in 2008 or 2010 for a anthology,
Oh,
Secret Agent X, pulp fiction, uh, and that's on Amazon. You can get that on Amazon.
okay.
Yeah.
Wait. I know you always say your name in your videos. It's Jarrod.
Yep. It's H. Jarrod Gordamage.
Gordamage?
Gordamage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Uh, and if you look up Secret Agent X Volume 3 and Volume 4, it should pop up on Amazon.
So wait, is Jarrod your middle name?
It is, yes.
Oh, okay. Should I ask what your first name is, or is it like no?
It's Henry, but
Oh, it's
that's all
Henry.
right. I
Henry's
go
not
by
bad name.
Jarrod. No.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, my name's Britton, so there you go. No, I like my name. My dad, I share a middle name with my dad, Todd. So I'm like, I'll just go by Britton then.
Yeah. I share the first name with my father, so my mother wanted me to go by Jarrod, so that's my whole
Fair
life.
enough. So wait, so are you a junior?
No, he has a different middle name, so.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's definitely Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, my dad doesn't like his first name, so he just goes by Todd. I'm like, oh, okay. Sure, he'll just love me saying that. So, sorry, Dad, if you ever watch this. Yeah, I've seen like you've done like tag videos on your channel, and like you just kind of started making a good name for yourself on here.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I like it. They're fun sometimes, I don't do them all, but pick and choose them,
Yeah, I'm the same way. You get more comments on your videos than I do, because like mine's very sporadic. I don't know if it's just I don't promote myself very well, or I don't know. But I've gotten some people who like my stuff.
Yeah, I don't promote, so I don't know. I don't know how any of that works as far as the YouTube algorithm goes.
Fair enough. I mean, you know, you don't put it in like Discord. Like here's my new video.
Yeah, I do. I do put it in the Grimoire Discord and one of the other ones, um, and I put it up on my Instagram account. That's about it. I don't like search for keywords or anything like that, or try to plug in the right words to make the algorithm happy or what have you. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of weird because I'm like, I kind of want to like I'm okay doing just my own stuff that I want to do, and if people don't like it, fine. But at the same time, like I do want people to watch my stuff.
yeah, you do. Yeah, but I didn't get in. I got into this because um, I wanted to talk about these books I'm reading all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I like doing reviews. I used to do comic book reviews for my local comic store a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I like doing reviews, and I like seeing what other people think about the same books I wrote or I read, and and so and I like to just I like to find things in books that are interesting and that stick out to me, and that I can, you know, say, "Wow, how did they write that like that?" And they try to break it down. This is how they wrote this, and this is what they were trying to the feeling they were trying to convey and stuff like that. I just like going through that stuff. I thought I started watching AP Canavan on Critical Dragon
Oh yeah.
and Philip Jason and a whole bunch of other guys and Joanna Reeds
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and I was like, oh wow, that they're really doing what they're talking about what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
No. Yeah. No. I mean, oh man, I watched Brian Lee Durfee,
oh
and
yeah, he's funny.
I saw I'm like, if this guy can just walk up to his bookshelf, just put his little phone there and start recording and just saying off the cuff what he thinks. You know what? Dang it, I think I could do that too. So here I am.
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah, I like his stuff too. Uh, yeah, and so I mean, I don't have many subscribers at all.
Yeah, no, I think we're
Um,
like, I think think we're around the same subscriber count. Like you're at, I think I saw like 141,
Yeah.
maybe, something like that.
So
It might be
that's cool.
178 because
You
I'm
know,
like,
if 140 people are interested in that, then that makes my day. You know,
yeah, yeah,
it's all good.
yeah. No, I'm a weird guy. If you didn't notice, so I don't know. I get in my head a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, no, uh, um, yeah, no, good stuff.
Yeah.
See what else stuff you've covered. Saw you. Oh, it says you have a series called Lost Not Forgotten. Man, that looks cool. What's that?
Oh yeah, that's where I try to. I go into my dustbin of books from the '80s and just try to find something that I haven't heard anybody talk about on YouTube at all,
Mm.
and just try to give it a little attention and talk about what it was about and try to refresh my memory about what made me read that way back when and why I think it's something that people might be interested in. You know.
Yeah, I've done a similar thing because there's books I see and I'm like I don't see a lot of people covering this, so I do that as well. Like I've done that with like I said, I did Blood Standard the other day, and I did Perdido Street Station before people just started talking about it all of a sudden. Also, I just kind of I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna review books that I like, and I'll just go from there. So it makes it enjoyable for me, you know.
Yeah, just bring awareness to the series that people might not know much about.
Yeah. Also, I have like discussions about other certain books, which I enjoy those a lot. Saying you've done some on your channel as well.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, I mean, I also see you've done like you've done like reading prose. So like, do you like pay
Yeah,
attention to prose when you read?
yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah,
Like, you know, I actually did a video with a writer friend of mine talking about prose, and I was like, oh man, you know, it's I enjoy doing that. It actually got some attention, but that's not really But like, what attracts you to prose in a story? I'm curious to hear.
that's that's an interesting question. You know, it's I think I think Philip Chase was talking about the Ursula Le Guin essay about from Elfland to Poughkeepsie,
Mm-hmm.
where she talks about prose and that prose is story.
Mm-hmm.
Without prose, there's no story. So your writing is prose, and um, so I can't, I can't remember verbatim anything from that, but um, it's basically how you put the words together to convey the what you're trying to say, and there's many ways you can do that, and I find it interesting to break down all those different ways and see how one person did it, and then see how another person did it, and I find that just endlessly fascinating because it's just as unique and individual as people are unique and individual. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just something I like to look.
I'm kind of, I find I'm more interested in like the flow of the language, or as my friend Jason would put it, he calls it the music of the of of the words, I guess.
Yeah. Um,
I like that. I like how like sentences flow together and like how it makes you feel and what it's trying to do and all that fun stuff.
yeah,
You know.
and good prose will bring that feeling out of you, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I look for.
Which is why I want to read Ursula K. Le Guin so bad because you know
Sure.
she well, for one, she's one of those big fantasy authors I haven't read, and another one I don't know where to start. You know, a lot of people are like, "Yeah, just start Earthsea. You'll be fine."
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's the one I would start at because that's fantasy. A lot of her other stuff is science.
Yeah, I know she's
But
done like a lot of science fiction, a lot of fantasy.
yeah,
I'm sure I think she's done other genres as well. I don't know, but I know her primary is like fantasy and science fiction. So, but yeah, I've always wanted to try Le Guin because like there's authors I enjoy who really like her, like Mieville really likes her. Neil Gaiman really likes her. I know Philip really enjoys her a lot.
Yeah.
It's just one of those I just haven't gotten to yet. I want to though, really bad.
Yeah, I've only read Earthsea, and I read some of her, a couple other short stories by her. But I do have The Tombs of Atuin, which is the second book in that Earthsea trilogy, and I have that on the shelf right here, so I'm planning on getting that as soon as I can.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Or I've heard it's good stuff. I haven't read it yet. I want to though because I don't know. A lot of people are like, just try Earthsea. You'll be fine there. Apparently, it's not too hard to get into. So.
No, it's not, and it's short. And you'll fly through them. You know you read a lot.
Yeah, I know.
You'll fly right through them. So they're pretty.
I read very quickly, so I'm just like, unless it's like a book that's really dense and I have to like pay attention to what it's saying. I don't know. I tend to read fast. Not too bad. Yeah, no, it's definitely like what are some books with like best prose you've read? I'll put it that way,
Mainly the ones I've been talking about here today. The Jenny Wirtz and Stephen Donaldson and Stephen Erickson. Those are my favorite three.
Yeah, I read the excerpt of Philip's Way of Edan, and I like how his prose looks, at least so far.
Yeah. Philip's really good too. He's surprised me with a lot of good stuff that he's had in there. He's pretty good. But Wirtz is exceptional. I like it when an author takes the time to expand my vocabulary. And I enjoy that because I want to know more. I like learning, and so when an author does that and they expand my vocabulary and they use words, every word has a in the sentence, in the paragraph, on the page, and so if you replace any of those words, it's going to mean something different than what they wanted to convey. And so that's what I really like.
Well, cutting back to Mieville real quick, what do you think of his prose? Cause
I think it's excellent. I really,
you think it is?
It's really is. It's really good.
Yeah, I agree. Or at least the prose in Perdido Street Station is amazing.
Well, all those descriptors we were talking about,
exactly right.
About the ooze and the blood and all those are there for a reason. All those are there purposely put where he wanted them to put, so that to make you feel like he was getting that feeling across of what this city is like.
Yeah, like I could smell New Crobazon.
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy. It's funny. I mean, the scar has grown on me a lot since I read that after Perdido, and I was kind of like, hey, I like Perdido more because like there's this. I don't know how to describe it. There's this adventurousness to Perdido Street Station that I find really, like, I don't know how to describe it. It feels like, you're in this place and you want to see more of this place, even though I would never, like, you could point a gun at me and I would never live in New Crobazon. But,
no.
but I want to explore it, It's like the scar doesn't have that, but it's also just a really strong story, and it has grown on me. I mean, I liked it when I read it for the first time, but it's grown on me the more I've thought about it. Like, I don't know if you've ever had books like that, but sure. Scar's one of those for me.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
I'm curious when you'll get to the scar, because it's a very different story from Perdido Street Station.
Yeah, same world though, right?
Yeah, same world. Same world.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'll get to it someday then. Yep.
Um, yeah, no, it's very good, and it's excuse me, it's definitely a book I recommend alongside Perdido Street Station. Iron Council. I mean, I won't tell you not to read it because I don't want to do that. You know, I don't want to get people to not read, but I don't love it as much as the other two, and in fact, I don't think it's that great. But there's still some good stuff in there. So, you know, I'll just say if you want to read it, go ahead. You don't have to though. I didn't. I hope he goes back to Baz Legs. I mean, I'm kind of on Jimmy's train. I love that world so much now. And I just discovered it last year, so it's jumped up on one of my favorite fantasy worlds of all time.
Nice. Very cool.
It's just, oh man. I'm definitely looking forward to a prose reading of Perdido Street Station, if you could do that. That would
okay. Yeah. No,
be fun to see, at least for me.
I was formulating a plan, so for that book especially, I think I'll wait till the read-along's done, and then I'll go back.
That's fair. I get that.
And then, you know, just so I can get the full the whole feel of what the whole book was doing. You know, so.
But, you know, again, I don't want to spoil the ending, but I am very curious to see what you'll think when you get there, because it's...
Yeah, no, I'll do, if nothing, I'll do a full review of it on my own, you know, once we're done with the read-along, so you'll get all my thoughts.
Yeah, no, it's, it'll make you think. That's all I'll say. It'll make you think.
Oh, yeah, it definitely makes you think. It already does, yeah. He's got a lot to say, so it's really good.
But I mean, he even does this in Embassy Town, and in Embassy Town I didn't really love, but Mieville is really good at creating these societies that are just incomprehensible to human beings, to like regular people, like the Garuda. Again, I don't want to get to the end. I don't want to spoil the ending, so I'll keep this really vague. But their rules are really like the bird people. Just you know, I mean. I know you're reading it right now, but I know it might be hard to keep up with all the terms. But, well, you're a seasoned fantasy reader, so I'm sure it's not too bad.
Right.
I feel bad now.
I do okay.
I feel bad now. Anyway. But, like, the Garuda's rules are just way different from human beings.
I get that sense, yeah. Yeah.
It's just like how they think of it is just completely alien to how like me or you might think of it.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty cool creation from Mieville. That race of bird people and how they just and I love the little section where it's from his point of view.
Yeah.
You know, those sections in between the chapters there. And
I remember when I first read it, I was kind of like, oh, okay. But then it became one of my like favorite bits of the book. You know, it grew on me.
Very nicely done.
But one of my favorite bits of that book is how like Mieville will give you like these like niblets, and it just sets your imagination on fire. You know, like when he talks, like when Yagarick is talking about where he comes from. And like they're dragging that library around. I'm like, oh my gosh, my imagination's on fire right now. You know?
Yeah, I know. Mention the word library, and I'm like, what? Oh, what's that?
But I'm like, dude, that's so cool. I want to see that.
Yeah.
You know, I really do hope he goes back to Baz Leg because man, I would love to see what else he has to do. But you know, well, maybe someday, hopefully.
Yeah. Right.
At least for me, anyway. Because I'm just, oh man, I'm sure for a lot of other people too.
Yeah, but I'm sure.
You're enjoying Perdido Street Station though.
I am. Yeah. Very much.
But yeah, no, it's a great book. I enjoy it a lot, and it's like I said, favorite book I read last year. I don't want to. It didn't come out last year, though. You know.
Yeah.
Though
I was surprised.
I
was surprised at how old it was. Actually, it was around 2001 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, in our landscape of BookTube, I'm curious of what like something like Perdido Street Station would be like for like new. I wonder if it did come out for the first time in 2023, what would that be like? You know, it does make me wonder.
I think it would still be very much talked about because it's great literature. Will be talked about. Uh, you know, we still talk about um, all the great stuff that came out. Like we still talk about Tolkien, we still talk about Howard, we still talk about the good books that came out a long time ago. And I think Perdido Street's probably making the rounds on BookTube now because it is that kind of book that's going to get talked about again and again.
Yeah, I mean, it has that kind of Dickens-esque, this these strange characters, this weird world, but also has that kind of like Lovecraftian horror, especially at like the latter end of the book when the slate
It's got staying power. Yeah.
I also love Dickens, so I'm like, oh man, I'm just eating Perdido Street Station up because it's it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, if you like Perdido Street Station, you'll like The Scar a lot.
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a sea story, so I mean, if you can,
Have you read any classics?
Oh yeah. It's funny. I actually grew up reading Have you ever seen those old illustrated edition classics from like back in the day? I read those growing up.
Yep.
Because
I have.
It was funny. I like the illustrations, and then I'm like, oh, the stories are actually pretty good too. So yeah. Then in middle school, because again I'm a weird guy, I read like a bunch of classics just to see like, let's see what all the fuss is about. And there were some I really enjoyed, and then there was some I didn't.
Yeah, so. No, I agree with you there. There's some I like and some I don't.
I guess I've noticed over the years that like books I really enjoy is where like the setting becomes a character. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Perdido Street Station does that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's almost like New Crobazon is a character in the story. And I think I think even Raf said that in the
he did
read-along,
yeah
because I didn't watch the first one, but the second one I was there and watched it.
Yeah, he mentioned that, and that's Gaiman does that a lot in his books.
Definitely.
Sometimes London itself is a character, in some of his books.
My favorite of his is American Gods.
Yeah, I love that book.
I'm so glad because like some people are like I've met a lot of people that are like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, it's not just fine. It's really
no, I love American Gods. It's one of my favorite books. Yeah.
It's such a I read it in my senior year of high school and I was blown away by it. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And I was also kind of mad because I'm like, how come this British guy can write better about America than like other Americans can? That's not fair. This is not fair. Someone's gonna get stabbed.
I think Gaiman can write about whatever he wants to.
That's true. He's another one. I'm like, man, when's a new novel coming out? I wanna read.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
He seems busy with other stuff. Like I know he's doing Good Omens right now and the
Sandman. Good Omens and the Sandman and
have you read the Sandman comics or have you seen the show?
I have. Yes, in all cases, yes.
Oh, I was about to say, wasn't that show amazing? Because I'm like,
it's awesome. I love that adaptation. I can't wait for the second season if they do it.
Like,
I'm not sure if they're doing it, but
let's see, because the Sandman is such a iconic story, right? And then I watch it, I'm like, this is so good. I am a little disappointed they didn't get John Constantine because I love John Constantine, but
I'm not sure if they could. That might have been
it was probably because of like rights and
copyright
stuff,
thing or something like that. Yeah, but
man, come on, I want to see it.
Yeah, that's okay though. They did a great job, I thought.
Beautiful adaptation.
I had fun. I had fun with that adaptation. I had fun with that show. Really good.
Especially the serial killer convention. Oh my god, they They
That
nailed
was
it. I love that issue
hilarious.
of the
Yeah.
story.
Yep. Very nice. Yeah.
Because again, I'm just weird, and it's just like, only Neil Gaiman could do like a comic book convention for serial killers. Like that. That's just a weird thing, and I want to read about that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him do the Shakespeare stuff, because
Yeah.
that's some of my favorite bits from the comic. I love it.
Mine too. I loved the one with Shakespeare with the Charles Vess artwork
Oh my gosh,
was
it's so good, isn't
just
it?
out of this world. And
It earned that
I
World
actually
Fantasy Award that year. That's all I'm
I
saying.
it did, and I actually did a presentation in one of my philosophy classes on that issue.
Oh, you're a
And
teacher?
what's that?
Oh, you're a teacher?
I don't know. When I was a student,
Oh.
way back when.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, it was for a grade. I did that, and I so that because I love that issue. That issue just blew me away, and it just I couldn't stop thinking about it when I read that.
Well, this makes me kind of sad, because I'm like, I wish other comic writers would write like that. I mean,
Yeah, there are
Alan
some,
Moore.
but yeah, Alan Moore, he's good. There are some, but is that that series, the Sandman series, um, that's like one of my favorites of all time. It's
Oh
one of the
yeah,
best that's ever been
it's
done.
one of the few comics I could call beautiful. Now I'm
Yeah,
not to say that there isn't like beautiful comics out there, but like one of those, I'm just like, I just, it's hard to explain. It's like an experience.
it's the Sandman series. It's an epic fantasy. It really is.
Yes, it is.
And he did this unique thing where he created a brand new mythology that is applicable to today if you want it to be, and it also encompasses all other mythologies too, and it's just a great achievement of invention. You know,
I also love in the series how they did the one with the immortal guy.
yeah,
They
yeah,
did that story
that was
beautifully.
very cool. Yeah, in the show, yeah, I love that.
I'm like, that is one of the things, that you gotta, like, if you're gonna do a Sandman adaptation, you can't get that right. Don't even bother doing it. you
Yeah.
know?
But but you could tell that Gaiman was a showrunner, was
Oh yeah.
involved, and it,
And also they did
um,
issue 8, and that was great. I loved it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, with him and Death just hanging out, and
yeah,
she's collecting souls.
yeah, very, very, what I'm looking for, very
Faithful.
emotional. That was an emotional episode.
Oh yeah, no, and in the, oh god, in the comic too, like especially when she finds the baby, I was like, oh man, ah, ah, tearing my
Gotcha.
heartstrings out, man.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Also, the casting was great too, like Stephen
yeah,
Fry as Green, or the Green Gable, so
yeah,
good. Oh my gosh. I love it.
yeah.
He's
It's
like,
very good.
wait, so you're a thing? He's like, oh, I'm a place. Like, oh. It's like, oh, okay. Also, like, Boyd Holbrook as Corinthian was great. It's just great all around. I loved it. I'm glad they got a season 2, because I'm like, please don't cancel it. Oh, please don't.
Yeah,
It
when
would
we
break
gonna
my
see it?
heart.
I have no idea, but
And like, I had friends who were like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm like, dude. I'm finally like, okay, fine, I'll watch it. And then I watched it, and it was so good.
yes, it was.
Did you see the the kind of the spin-off, the like one-off episodes they did? The, like, the X-File like spin-off they did. The animated one, and
Yeah, yeah. I watched them all. Yeah,
you watched them all? Okay.
the cat. Yeah, the cats. Yeah,
Yeah, that's another one of the comics that's just weird. It's like, oh, what do cats dream about? And you're like,
Yeah,
wow, this is weird, man. I wanna.
very cool.
I love it. I love Sandman a lot. It's easily like top 5 comic series of all time, if you ask me. No, I've been doing adaptations of his books, like actual books. Have you read those?
Yeah, I actually I get them whenever I can, especially the Norse mythology
Mm.
adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
The comic book adaptation of that was fantastic. With adapted by P. Craig Russell, and he does the layout for the artwork,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just out of this world. It's outstanding. They're pretty much just as good as reading the book. That's how good they are.
Like, have you read the like, I know he did like American Gods, and he did Stardust,
Yeah,
and I actually haven't read Stardust yet.
yeah, it's good. I read pretty much all of Gaiman's stuff. I don't know. I don't know what I may have missed there, if I did miss anything. But as far as I know, I've read everything he's put out. Maybe a few short stories here or there I may have missed, but
Yeah, I love Gaiman a lot. He's really good.
yeah.
Um, um, yeah, no. It makes me kind of sad he didn't do more comic work, because I'm like, oh man, what could he have done? You know, I would have loved to see him do like a Thor run. That would have been awesome. Because
Yeah.
he loves.
Well, read Norse mythology.
Oh
Thor's
yeah,
all in there.
I haven't actually
So
read Norse mythology. I want to though,
it's yeah, it's good. It's all in there. Yeah.
because I love Norse myth, and I'm like,
Um.
oh man, that's
Yeah, he did some
Gaiman
beautiful work
doing
with that stuff.
Norse myth. Oh my gosh, like I'm gonna love this. I just haven't picked it up yet.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
um. Oh man, like there's so many other fantasy series to try. Like I'm hoping to do like Gormenghast next year, so that'll be fun.
Oh,
Apparently that's the one Moorcock's like, Lord of the Rings is whack, but this series, like that's where it's really at. And I'm like, all right, Moorcock, I'll see what you're saying. Because I don't know, like you, I kind of take a lot of his opinions about Tolkien with a grain of salt, because I'm just kind of like,
yeah. It just seemed like um, you know, backlash at the time. I guess I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. Uh, you know, fine. He writes because he wrote. He actually wrote some novels that were that took place on Mars. It's kind of like a ripoff of Edgar Rice Burroughs' Princess of Mars.
I've heard of this. I haven't
Yeah,
read it.
and they were actually pretty neat. That I got them. I picked them up somewhere. Somebody was going to throw them out, so I was like, "Oh, I'll take those." And then he actually wrote a trilogy, I think, that novels, that took place on Mars. Very much like, just like Edgar Rice Burroughs' style of Mars. Fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever it was. Uh, So they were pretty good. But Moorcock's, he's cool to read. Very cool to read stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I read one of his like more like serious novels, if you want to call it that, called The Whispering Swarm a few years ago, and yeah, I didn't love that book too much. It was kind of, it's like an autobiography, but it's also kind of like the magical London underneath, because it's like, I don't know, people love that like weird. They just like, oh, look at this weird magical undercurrent of London. They love that for some reason. Actually, I haven't read Neverwhere either. I've heard that's kind of a take on that idea.
Yeah, that's where Neverwhere is, where London is a character basically.
Yeah, yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I want to, because I want to read everything from Neil Gaiman at some point, because he's so good.
Yeah, a lot of variety too. He really
Yeah.
branches out a lot.
I would love to see him do like a straight science fiction novel at some point. I think that would be fun. But I don't know. I would really enjoy that. What else? I mean, yeah, you like comics, so are there other comics you enjoy aside from like the Sandman, and like adaptations from? I always feel weird of reading like comic adaptations of novels, and I've made exceptions, of course. I don't know if you've ever read Darwin Cook's Parker adaptations.
I did actually. Yes, those were very well done. I like
I
those.
like those a lot, but aside from that, I
Yep.
just feel kind of weird,
Yeah. No, I like those. I like the adaptations. I read the Wheel of Time comics and the Game of Thrones comics, and they never the comic series never seem to actually finish. They always drop off at some point when it's long series like Wheel of Time or Game of Thrones. But uh, but I also read. One series I really enjoyed was Strangers in Paradise by Terry Moore, independent published book. Very good. The guy's an incredible artist,
I've heard Terry
and
Moore's very good.
yeah, he's very very good. So that's a great series. That's actually just it's actually a little bit of romance, but it's also espionage type
Sounds
type of
cool.
book, but not fantasy at all, but very well done. And uh, I love the original Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I started
s-
that a few years ago, and then I just kind of
Speaking of
dropped it.
manga, yeah.
I wanna get back
Well,
into
there's
that.
28 volumes, so you gotta really stick with it. But, um, and what else? And there's I like Hellboy.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I started
it's some
Hellboy a
good
few years
stuff.
ago. It's funny. I like the short stories more than the actual like main continuity because I don't know. There's just a lot of special stories in those short like weird
Yeah,
one-offs, like the corpse. Amazing.
yeah, yeah, it's some good stuff with that.
Or the iron shoes. Like that's such a weird one. It's so good.
Yeah. So, uh, and I pick up a lot of fantasy comics whenever they come out with them, just to check them out. Um, One that stuck with me was one called Seven to Eternity, by Rick
I've read the
Remender.
first volume of that. I like Rick.
Yeah,
I really
the,
love Deadly Class from the Rick
yeah,
Remender who did.
the artwork was just stunning in that book, and
Have you
so I
read
read
Deadly
those.
Class?
Deadly Class. I No, I don't know if I read that one.
Oh, it's so
Um,
good.
I know I
It's by the
read.
same guy who did Seven to Eternity.
Yeah, yeah, and I read Low. I think it was called Low.
I haven't read that
That
one
was by
yet.
him. That was pretty good.
Murderous
So
Duties in
he's
that one.
Black Science. I think he did. That was pretty good. Um, so there's a lot of stuff out there if you really search around.
I love like Jeff Lemire, like I mentioned earlier. Like I
Yeah,
think you would really like Sweet Tooth if you like.
yeah.
Have you read that Sweet
I
Tooth?
didn't read it. I watched the show.
I have
Um,
not watched the show yet because I haven't yet. I want to, but I'm kind of like, oh man.
yeah, it's a little strange.
Oh, wait till you read the comic. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
good. I love it. I like Jason Aaron a lot. His Thor run was so good. But also like Southern Bastards is a lot of fun. I mean, if you like epic fantasy, like Jason Aaron's Thor, it's great. It's basically epic fantasy. Like it's not even a superhero
Oh,
comic.
that's good.
I know you're like, I'm like, oh yeah, not into superheroes so much anymore, but like, it's literally an epic fantasy. It's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. That's
What else? Oh, so many. There's so many. I love
yeah,
Alan Moore a lot. Like
yeah,
his
yeah.
Swamp Thing is great.
I read a
Um,
lot of his stuff.
Watchmen.
Pretty good.
Some of his more like out there stuff, like From Hell, I didn't really love, but I love Alan Moore.
I love From Hell. I
You love
really
From
do.
Hell?
I like that a lot. It I liked it a lot. Yeah, it
That
was.
was so just. I think it just went over my head because it was like, oh man, this is.
Very
Oh
cool.
man, it's something. Um, there's some other comics I've read. Saga. Have you read Saga?
Yes, actually, yeah, that was
Oh wow, yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
I
very
finally caught
interesting.
up with it, and Brian gave on that son of a bitch. He's broken my heart.
Yeah, he has a reputation for that.
I love Saga though; it's so good. I love it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Um, oh man,
Yeah.
there's so many great ones. Like, I mean, I actually just started Middle West recently. That's pretty good. I hope to continue with that. So yeah, so much to choose from nowadays, which is nice. But at the same time, it makes you kind
Yeah.
of lazy.
Cool.
Oh man.
All right, sir.
Well,
I gotta
uh,
hit sack.
I I mean, I was about to say, yeah, probably. I actually have to. I'm gonna get something to eat with my aunt later, so I better
Alrighty.
step off here. But it's been fun talking.
This has been a fun conversation, Britton. I'm glad you had me on.
Um, we should do this again at some point because I'm not afraid of having. I might have to wait a while, but I'd like to do this again.
No problem, man. Yeah,
Um, but if you have any
contact me
like social
anytime.
media or anything, feel free to share that real quick.
Oh yeah. You can find me, of course, on my YouTube channel at the Fantasy Thinker. And I'm also that's also my handle on Instagram, the Fantasy Thinker, so you know contact me there. And I do hang out sometimes on the Grimoire Discord and Matt's fantasy book fantasy reviews. Yeah. So on the Discord, it's also the Fantasy Thinker, so you can find me there as well.
But yeah, it's been fun. Uh, Hope
It
you have
has.
a good rest of your night. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Letterboxd and Goodreads, where I write reviews, and Discord as well. So I do have a server, but also I'm on there. I'm also on Grimoire. I think that's where I found you actually. Um,
Awesome. Yeah, you did. Yep.
but yeah, no. So all right, take care, everyone, and until next time.